Round of applause, yes, please. Welcome onto the stage, Lily Rose Brown!
Hello, sorry, I've just got a little bit of admin to do, and then I'll get started. Done the admin. You alright, Frank? Hello, I'm Lily, and like most people my age, I'm 27, which makes me a millennial. And I know that millennials quite often use like it's a dirty word, but I'm really proud to be one. I mean, my generation is so comfortable talking about mental health. Even my cat is on antidepressants. I took her to the vet because she had a bit of a poorly tummy, and that's just a really nice way of saying that she weed on my bed. And the vet kind of did a thorough examination of her and broke the news to me that there was nothing physically wrong with the cat. She just had an underlying anxiety and depression disorder. And so diagnosed her with the same antidepressants that I was on, actually, so that was quite convenient. But other things about the cat. She's really great, but I know it's not really politically correct to complain about someone else's mental health problems, but she's a cat, so I think it's fine. It's fine to admit that lockdown was quite difficult for us because of her mental health problems. She felt like I wasn't giving her enough personal space, and to be fair, I was quite lonely, so probably wasn't. But we managed to resolve the problem. She found a cupboard that she could hide in, which was further away from me than my arms were long, so she's pretty good at conflict resolution. So don't get me wrong, I love my cat, obviously, but I wish I'd spent a bit more time trying to think of a more unusual pet. The other day I saw a fellow millennial who was walking around with a pet squirrel, which was pretty cool. And if you're anything like me, you'll be sat there thinking, what do squirrels drink? Nut milk, obviously. So almond milk, cashew milk, hazelnut milk. I think those are all of the nuts that you can milk, but let me know if I'm wrong. So next time you're looking for a plant-based alternative to nut milk, no, plant-based alternative to cow's milk, and you're not thinking about the squirrels, think about the squirrels next time. And I think I found a good alternative for you, which is pea milk. So the milk from a petit pois, which is quite high in protein, so there's lots of benefits to having pea milk. But the unusual pet I really wish I had, if I'm honest with you, is a pet lizard. I'm sure you've all seen that lizard fashion is really kicking off. No, not clothes made out of lizards. Yuck. Clothes for lizards to wear. So my favourite fashion house actually offer matching outfits for you and your pet lizard. And you might be thinking, but Lily, lizards are cold-blooded, that sounds really cruel. Don't worry, they wear cotton summer dresses. It's fine. So in my ideal world, I'd be kind of walking around in my lovely gingham print summer dress with my lizard draped over my shoulder, wearing its gingham print summer dress. And we'd just walk around town waiting for someone to take a picture of us for Instagram. But I already have a boring, ordinary pet, so I had to look elsewhere to find something a bit kooky. And I thought, what better than an unusual dietary requirement? Obvious. And I think I found the perfect one to identify with. An intolerance to the nightshade family. Best thing about the nightshade family, cool name. So you sound pretty badass when you explain it. So the other good thing about it is that no one's heard of it. So you have to spend a lot of time explaining exactly what the nightshades are. So every time I go to a restaurant, the chef comes out with a kind of puzzled look on their face, kind of like that one. And they say, but what is the nightshade family? And you have to explain, well, it's tomatoes, chilies, peppers, all sounds quite obvious. Gets a bit rogue. Potatoes, aubergines, and then we have the wild cards of the family, okra and goji berries. Cherries are on the fence. So it comes up a lot, which is the other good thing about it. So it gives me something to talk about when all my friends show me pictures of their baby that I didn't ask to see. So that's the benefit. And if you're sat there thinking like, oh, that sounds quite good, I'd quite like to have that, your luck's in. Because everyone's a little bit allergic to the nightshade family, so anyone can legitimately claim to have the intolerance, which is pretty good. So I think it's really going to kick off. I think it could be the next gluten intolerance. Because I think gluten intolerance has become a bit basic. You know, who eats pasta these days anyway? It's all about quinoa. So that's my admin over there, that's just a timer, don't worry about that, just don't let me forget it. So we've got a little bit more time, and I kind of mentioned earlier that, you know, I don't really like people talking about babies or their children in general, and I've known that I didn't want to have children since I became of childbearing age. Thank you, thanks. Doesn't happen that often, so thank you. I actually remember the first time I told my mum that I didn't want to have children, and I was expecting her to say the thing that people normally say when I tell them I don't want to have children. You know, you don't know how you'll feel in 10 years' time, your biological clock is ticking, who's going to look after you when you're old? But I remember the first time I told my mum, and I was expecting her to say all of that, and she didn't say that. She just looked at me in that way that only a mum can look at you, where that look kind of burrows right into your soul. And she smiled this soft, unnerving smile, and she put her hand on my knee. I was sitting down, so it wasn't that weird. That wasn't the point, sorry. She put her hand on me, she smiled at me, and she said, "Lily, I don't blame you. I never wanted to have children either." So that explains a lot about me. You know what? You know, I completely understand where she's coming from, because I'm 27 years old. I decided to dedicate my life to being an artist. So her work is never done. She's going to be looking after me when I'm old. The good thing about being an artist is that lockdown doesn't really change that much for me. I'm still completely unemployable, so that's good. And it means that I have to accept every job that comes up, which explains why I'm here. But don't get me wrong, this has been a really great excuse to take my mask off for a little while, so thank you for that, and thank you for your time. I've been Lily Grant.